Okay guys, we're still continuing on our resource allocation decisions, and today we're looking at efficiency. Due to the problem of scarcity, it's essential that resources are allocated efficiently. We've looked at what the basic economic problem is, and that is scarcity, unlimited wants versus limited resources. We've looked at what economics is. Economics is how do we satisfy scarcity, and now we're going to look at efficiency, which is how do we satisfy scarcity in the best possible way. Okay, there are 4 types of efficiency. You need to know these. These are all mentioned in the study design. First one is allocative, the second one is intertemporal, third one is technical, and the fourth one is dynamic. Okay, we'll look at each of those on their own right now. So the first one being allocative efficiency. Resources are allocated in order to achieve the maximum possible living standards. There will be no shortages or surpluses. So looking at our PPF that we drew before through agricultural goods and manufactured goods, point X is our allocative efficiency point. We cannot now produce any more product, whether it be agricultural or manufactured, than what we are doing at X. All our resources are being used to the best possible way. Okay, here's an important point that I think is an allocative that you really should know. Allocative efficiency concerns itself with maximising living standards. So what they're doing is they're saying that whatever the needs and wants of our economy is, we're going to satisfy those using our resources in the best possible way. That sounds simple, but here's the important point. It does not look at whether those choices are wrong or right or correct or even intelligent. For example, if you have an economy that has no electricity, no internet or anything like that, but for some reason everybody wants computers, well, under allocative efficiency they will consider how to use their resources in the best possible way to make computers. It's not an intelligent choice because the people of the economy can't use it, but we don't consider those points under allocative. All we consider is what they want, how do we satisfy it. Intertemporal efficiency, allocating resources in order to balance current needs with possible future needs. What is the best example that's occurred over the last 12 months? The carbon tax, designed to address future problems caused by today's pollution costs. Okay, that's what it's looking at. They're going to start, they've already started charging companies for producing carbon pollution into the economy. The idea being that those companies will then decide that they don't want to keep paying the tax and will look at ways in which to make their production processes a lot cleaner. We won't go into the whys and wherefores or the correctness of the carbon tax at this point in time. That's further down the track, particularly when we move into Unit 4. Okay, the other thing about intertemporal efficiency, it puts restrictions on resource use in today. Best example I could probably think of at the moment is wood chipping in Tasmania or various other countries, forest areas. They cannot just go in and just start wiping out forests. They have certain limits put on so that trees, whatever, the resource will still be available in future generations. Technical efficiency. Normally production cannot be increased without an increase in resources. We discussed this in one of our previous lectures. Sitting on the PPF, we had the point inside where we were underutilising resources. The point outside, we called that the unattainable point. Technical efficiency now says, well, we might be able to increase our production with the same amount of resources. So those unattainable points on the previous PPFs now become attainable. For example, going back here to our PPF graph again, let's say we've got F down here now. Due to some technical advancement, we can now produce manufactured goods at F. Agricultural goods will remain at A, but we can produce at F because we've got new machinery now that does the work of 50, 60, 70 people. So now we have a new PP curve. Notice how it still starts at here at A. It's not necessarily all the way around here. You can have, if something happened that enabled us to increase agricultural goods, then the curve would come through here. But at this point we're just looking at one side of it, manufactured goods. So now, using our same resources, we can now produce more manufactured goods than we can agricultural goods. So our points now have changed. So now we can produce at T. We're still producing C, but for the same amount of resources, we can now move to this point here. Okay, so we've actually moved outside our original curve. And that's what technical efficiency is. However, don't get caught up in that, oh, well, we've got the temporal, yep, we'll move out here necessarily to this point. Again, remember we discussed before that we may want to import, export agricultural goods, so we're going to move lower down the curve. We can, if we want, decide that we're going to come up to this side and produce at this point. Is this efficient? Well, not really, no, because this is our most efficient point. This is also our allocative efficient point. But, so we could produce manufactured goods at Z, therefore allowing us to increase agricultural goods at X. I won't ask you what the opportunity cost of those points are, because that'll just blow your mind. Dynamic efficiency, an economy that balances short-term and long-term focus. So we're keeping abreast of changing consumer wants. Apple products, we've discussed that before, that people really didn't walk around going, oh, I wish I had a phone that I can get the internet on, until all these smartphone products came out, and then people decided, aha, love it, that's exactly what I want. So you're trying to stay ahead of the game, so to speak, become innovative. Promotes long-term investment, research and production. If you're always trying to stay ahead of the game, well, you can't just keep wandering around and hope that ideas will fall out. You need to spend money on research production. Companies will there promote their long-term investment, which is money flowing into the economy. Systems progressively become more efficient. Hopefully that's the whole point of it. They become dynamic. They're staying ahead of the game. They know what the consumer, or not so much what the consumer wants, but they know what the consumer wants before the consumer does. And they become more efficient because their production processes become a lot more streamlined, become a lot more better. They become more future aware. That's it.